Welcome to Bible Bravery and Bullshit, sorry mom, with Pastor Dan Miner, the unapologetic podcast for those tearing down old beliefs, choosing deconstruction, or those who have walked away from traditional faith. If you're questioning, evolving, or just plain fed up with the modern Christian machine, you're in the right place. Hey, you might laugh, cry, maybe get pissed off, or who knows, get inspired to keep up the good fight. You can follow me or Harvest Church on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook to get connected. The links are in the description of this podcast. Here we go. Welcome back to Bible Bravery and Bullshit, the show where we say the quiet parts out loud, point out those naked emperors in our pulpits, and let's be honest, occasionally make your Aunt Linda unfollow you on Facebook. Well, today's topic is fasting. Yeah, you know that thing you got guilt-tripped into in youth group while the youth pastor was secretly eating a Chipotle burrito in his car? Well, that is the topic today, and I've done my fair share of fasting. Well, not really. I mean, one time I skipped breakfast because Waffle House was too far from my hotel, but I get it. Fasting is in the Bible, but here's the real problem. I believe that we've taken it, we've stripped it of its teeth, we've turned it into some sort of like private piety contest and totally missed what God actually said that he wants from us. And here's the spoiler alert. It's not just about kale juice and a grumpy attitude, or orange juice or water or whatever you guys fasted with. Let's rewind for a second to Isaiah 58. Picture this. Israel is back from exile. They're rebuilding their religious life. They're checking all the boxes. They're praying, they're fasting, they're wearing their best sackcloth while they're on some ancient episode of The Real Housewives of Jerusalem or something. And they're mad at God because, shocker, he's not impressed. He's just not. And God's like, oh, you're fasting? That's cute. Meanwhile, you're underpaying your workers. You're ignoring the homeless. You're letting people starve. Translation, you're hungry by choice, but they're hungry because of you. And then God just drops the mic. The fast I choose is to loose the chains of injustice, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and bring the homeless into your house. Man, that's not metaphorical. That's not spiritual bread for spiritual hunger. That's literal bread for literal hunger. You know, if we're going to be big biblical literalists, maybe we should start with the parts about not being terrible to people. But here's where it gets a little uncomfortable, because Jesus echoes the same thing in Matthew 25. You can't miss it. It says, what you've done for the least of these, you've done for me. And the least of these is not just the smiling child on the mission trip brochure. I see you Teen Mania missionaries. It's also, the undocumented mom working 3 jobs. It's also the person struggling with addiction trying to claw their way out of hell. It's that trans kid in your high school who gets mocked in the hallway. But meanwhile, in America, 2025, we're being told that those people are the enemies. That the real threat, apparently, is the lady that is running the taco truck, or the teacher with a tiny pride flag on her desk, or the church that dares to say queer people are safe here. Meanwhile, the people actually doing the harm, the ones that are hoarding power, exploiting workers, or maybe flying to a certain island that we've been hearing about, they're the ones pointing the finger. And the church in America is just nodding along. And God says fasting means breaking the yoke of oppression. The church says fasting means skipping Chick-fil-A for 21 days. Somebody's reading the wrong book. Look, I'm not anti-spiritual disciplines. Fast if you want to. But if your fasting doesn't result in more justice, more mercy, and more tangible love for real people, you're basically on a holy diet plan with zero nutritional value for the kingdom. It's pointless. Here's the litmus test. If the hungry still go hungry, or the homeless still sleep outside, and the oppressed still get crushed underneath the feet of the powerful, God says that our fasting means nothing. Feels harsh, maybe, yeah, but it's also freeing because now we know exactly what God actually wants. So maybe our next, quote unquote, church-wide fast shouldn't be food at all. Maybe evangelical churches and spaces should stop doing that and maybe start fasting from indifference. Maybe it's fasting from the safety of silence. Maybe it's giving up our own comfort to increase someone else's. Listen, if you want to honor God, skip the sackcloth fashion show and go buy some groceries for a family in need. Call your senator about health care. Offer your spare room to someone with no place to go. And if your church ever tells you that real fasting is just not eating, tell them Isaiah called and said, read the whole damn chapter. Because here's the truth. Justice is worship. Mercy is worship. And if we're not doing those, we're not fasting. We're just hungry and self-righteous. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. And if you'd like to support our nonprofit, you can go to harvestsarasota.com and click the Give tab. One of the greatest ways you can tell us this podcast helped you is by liking, subscribing, reviewing, and sharing with your friends. Till next time, keep asking questions, be patient with yourself, and find someone to show some love this week.